Sure, I think I'll just start the live stream. I see the world has stopped turning as the world turns. Okay, I'll get the live stream going here. Oh, it started good today. Thing. Okay, microphone settings. Okay, just to let people know in live stream that we are broadcasting and almost ready to start the show today. So I'll let you listen to some of our music that was donated for the Fresh Foundation Spaceship Institute.
We are one planet, and we are one race. We are together, and what will our face? We are one planet, and we are one race. We are together, and what will our face? I can no longer close my eyes. I feel the lies. Who are those guys who claim their rights to justify the war and hunger? Who are those guys? Child, a city on the run. They lost their life under the sun. Who claim this shame must go on and on. Let's get united as people. Come on, we're getting closer. Stand from the doorway. We are even deeper, guided through the gateway. We have no choice, there's no other way to step up. We have everything to say. We can pull ourselves out of the mud. In this suffering, set the dust. Planet, be a one way. Be together in what we are faith. Be a planet, be a one way. Be together in what we are faith. Do it, you know it works very well. Kiss for goodbye and farewell. We're walking with a light, we call it from the heart. Ready to go, let's get started. Child, a city on the run. They lost their life under the sun. Who claim the shame must go on and on. Let's get united as people. Come on. Planet, and be one race. Be together in what we are face. We are one planet, and we are one race. We are together in what we are face. And we are one race. We are together and what will our face? Tristan on the track. It's like a flower, reaching for the sun rays. Hey yo, it's time to reach out. It's so beautiful. Tell me what this is about. to heaven, we'll find a soul's light. Sister and brother, we got a new style. United in our hearts, and we're shining bright. It's like a flower germinate, reaching for the sun rays. And once the circle opens up, we receive the light of better ways. Live and give it's like a new breeze. We wanted to heaven, now we got a solid gift. A blueprint and the power, we find a new peace. Before we even get it, we're in the middle of the shift. Hey yo, hey yo, it's time to reach out. It's so, so beautiful. Tell me what this is about. People, we will make it. No one can stop this energy once it's arrived. Together we can do it. Reach out to the skies. We have no choice. We want to live and survive. It's like a flower germinate, reaching for the sun rays. And once the circle opens up, we see the lines of better ways. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, Tristan on hey yo, hey yo, it's time to reach out. Hey yo, hey yo, tell me what this is about. Hey yo, hey yo, we don't need war anymore. It's all so beautiful, it's like an open door. Hello.
Yeah. All right. Is that sorted, Vince? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Gonna start.
Okay, and we are on live stream. Let me get my microphone going. Here we go. So I'll make the announcement. It's Friday, October 30th, 2015, and it's been Blueprint Teachings Week at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. That's working with the MagRev's energy device. And this is the morning session for Friday, and we'll learn more about the blueprint as well as some of the safety items I understand today as well. Okay, I think we're ready to go here, Mr. Keshe, if you were, so go ahead there.
Yes, good morning, good day to you, whenever you listen to these teachings. Uh, as we have gone through the process of explaining how to put these systems together, how to assemble them, and how to, in a way, now that you are bringing your systems together, this section of the teaching will be recorded and will be put on the MAGRAF at Keshe Foundation or the Spaceship Institute as part of the instruction of the use. So we can transcribe it very quickly and translate it to different languages because it's important. As I explained in the first day on Monday, that this technology changes nothing except the use of the copper wire. Where the copper wire used to be the transmitter or was used to transmit electric current by vibration, now we use the plasma of, instead of vibration of the electron, as the plasma of the electron itself without the vibration, and the plasma of the atomic structure of the copper itself to release energy or transfer energy. So the process we explained has been that, where is the pen? We prefer the pen, to transfer power through the line through vibration of electrons, where now we nanocode the same wire of its own material, and then we release the nanomaterial as GANs, as a free plasma. Instead of using vibration of, if that was a single atom, if this was the single atom here, and the single atom has so many electrons that we used to use the vibration, now we use the whole of the plasma of the same atomic structure to release energy. And then we capture it by itself. This is a departure from the present power production unit, and it has to be learned how to use, how to connect, how to apply it. So this morning we are going through do's and don'ts and what you have to do and how to use this technology the correct way. Some of you have made units, and some of you in coming days receive your units. And then you come to understand a very simple principle. And that is, now you're dealing with a much more powerful system than single vibration of a small electron. To be able to use your system once you assemble it, you can't just plug it in and put load on it. You got to follow these steps. We put it as the steps on the page of the Magra when you open. First of all, you have to check that you have the right polarity. What does this mean? You have to have the life of your wire, you call it phase, to be connected to the live and the phase of your load, which means your system, when you do check, you got to find out which one is carrying the load, the power, you mark it, and then you go to your plug or to your power supply and you plug the same. You find out at your power supply if it's a system like this, or if it's the main you want to adjust it or add it to, and you find that it's all the same. You connect live to live. If you connect live to neutral, you find out you might blow your system up or the system doesn't work. So this is the first thing. You have to connect your system to the right phase. The number two, which is the same understanding, is that once you connected your system to the power supply, you got to leave it for 2-3 days, maybe more. And you have to leave it at least for 72 hours for the system to settle itself, nanocoat its environment slightly, and at that point, you can add a very small LED light. Into the circuit. So you set up the initial stage of release of energy from the plasma. Under no circumstances, that's absolute no. Do not connect immediately any resistive load like a heater, any resistive load like light bulbs, which are the old light bulbs, not the LED lights, because in some countries we see no problem, and in some tests, what happened, especially the first days you connect your system, the power of the plasma is so much that it literally blows the light bulb out. You can, even if you put like a half a kilowatt or 1 kilowatt or 2 kilowatt heat resistors, you find out you could get problem with them. So initially, do not load any high power to the system. You have to allow the system to run, that it start nano-coating the wiring, that it can take and receive energy on a nanocoat layer, not on a matter state. This is where a lot of people will make a complaint. I plugged it in and it went. When you get it, understand. Get yourself non-resistive. Yes. Do what, please? Can you repeat? What do you mean use a 6 or 9 volt rechargeable battery, you mean? Ah, initial load to charge up the battery, you mean? Ah, oh yes. No, I thought you meant to use a 6 or 9 volt on the supply line. Okay, so no, no, no. So what the suggestion is, you want to use a 9 volt square batteries initially to charge, at least to start releasing the process. You got to realize you have made the system, and initially it carries a lot of power. Initially it releases a lot of power because all the gases you put on is ready to release energy. So you have to allow it to go through. We know that some people straight away plugged in the light bulb to start, light bulb with a resistance like a tungsten, and the power is so much that it blows the light out. You can actually get a blowout of the lamp. This cannot be done. You have to take a DC load initially. Leave it for about 3 days, 4 days, that the load gets used, and then you add the next step into the process. Then you put, we said no resistive load in the first 72 hours at least. Then you add another small load. You increase the load. Good morning. You increase the load to something else. Computer. No, don't use a computer because you think something happened to it. Something which is light in power, mainly uses DC. You have a small converter on it that you can run the process. Do this for about a week, that the system settles down. So you add a small second load. Again, non-resistive. After about 10 days or so, to be safe, then add a small resistive load, maybe 500 watts. Like a boiling kettle water. When you boil the water, the kettle, just add that. If some of them are very small ones, if you have a 1.5, 2 kilowatt one, please do not use, because then you have a problem. Use something very small resistive. That now, with these two, you used the nano layer for energy. Now you are using the conversion of the AC section. Yes.
Any advantages of taking more time?
Yes. If you take time, the slower, if you make it 2-3 weeks, very slow, then you build the system up. And system builds up. Then we always recommend you, if you receive these units, you don't understand anything about the electricity, the phase or whatever, get yourself an electrician. Let him read the manual, understand what it is, and then use it. Don't just plug it in. It will take time till the industry builds up technologies that can accommodate plasma technology. This is not electric current, this is a plasma, and it takes time. It's not going to be overnight that we have heaters that they're going to be used through the plasma AC or a DC of the plasma. So it's paramount you follow the rules. Don't, if you have a heater, a fan heater, even 1.5 kilowatt, you can use that. But if you have a heater which is just a bar, resistive bar, do not use it. Because the fan of the heater usually brings balance. This is what I was discussing with the people this morning. That use, for example, even if you use a fan heater, we have used straight away here, what do you call it? A 2 kilowatt fan heater. Don't use a resistive. Anything which is resistive, like your light bulbs with a tungsten, heating element, like your, what do you call it, not the microwaves, ovens, those kind of things will give you a problem because it takes time. In 3 weeks, 4 weeks time, you can use them, but initially you can't because they try to condense the energy of the plasma into a narrow bandwidth of the electron vibration and they create heat. So in second week, you can use a fan heater at a very low power. Start with number 1, like 400, 500 or 600 watts. And then over a week, build it up. What you are doing, you are not bringing the system into operation. You are bringing the house in order to be able to accept the system. This is where you have to watch. You are not training the system to release energy. You are in the process of the weeks creating a nano layering in your structure that can accommodate the use of energy. You will find out we will get a lot of resistance for launching this material. We've seen the first one this morning. A lot of people are trying to stop it because they could not believe that we released the technology the way we've done in the past week, that everybody is making it. Now they have tested it for non-resistive and they've seen the potential of it. They are not telling you how much they are benefiting by the non-resistive, like a LED. If you have an LED light in the house and nothing else, turn it on. It all works, no problem. It takes a day, 2 or 3 days. You see the meter literally stops working. At the first day or 2, you see a slowing down of the meter. But after a week or 2, anything which is non-brush, non-resistive load will become absolutely free. Fluorescent in some depends on the heating element. If there is some of them have different parameters in the background. Depends if there is a resistors built into it to be able to work. The elements, most of these systems in the front, they could be very weak resistive or conductive. And in the back, they have resistive elements. They put resistors for circuitry to be able to do whatever they want to do for their control. So the system sees those resistors as a resistor to the CD, or what they call it, to the system, to the maglev system. So you got to realize you are developing a new system to be able to use it. If you get it and plug it into a huge 2 kilowatt, you burn it, and then you say there is something wrong. We put in our leaflets, we don't accept responsibility because we have tested it. With it, it tells you when you receive the certificates for it. CE certificates will be released by email to you. American certificates will be released through email to you, and the same for the cars. So certification dates are released with the goods. Understand, and I'll repeat again, any resistive load, and we've seen people, they have connected directly into the plug to prove if it works 2 kilowatt, they put a 2 kilowatt resistive in it, and the resistive heater just burns out. We are warning you, do not connect any resistive load at least in the first 3 weeks till your system builds up. No way and we have made it, we put a disclaimer on it. There is a disclaimer with the system that you're responsible 2 kilowatt, and it has to be after 3 weeks. And then you don't use a 2 kilowatt constantly. We use the fan systems. We show you that, as we said, if you build yourself a second unit, or you purchase what we call the cascade unit, but you have to give the reference of your first unit which you purchased. We put those at €250. It's going to be released later on next week. You put your original system, then after 3 weeks, at your interface of the grid, after your meter, you get an electrician to put it in series. The same phase connection, and then you place second one in the end farthest point in the house from the electric wire connection. So you have covered here. In this mode, from the second phase, and here we have seen in our test 5.2 kilowatt power resistive. So then you can build up from 2 kilowatt to 5.5. If you increase the number of stackers, as you've seen with Renan, you can go to 7.5 kilowatts. So you need 2 units, 2 systems. To increase the power, you need 2 systems. Because if you remember, if you go to the Alexa's system, when you put the meters on, we saw that 4 kilowatt was going out into the grid, and 1 kilowatt was coming into the unit, if you remember, where we connected the fans. Yeah, sometimes 5. Here, when you put the second unit, that's what happens. Now, the second unit is feeding the house. Instead of here, the first unit feeding the grid, now the second unit feeds the house. But you have to nano coat it completely, and then in this cascade, any amount of non-resistive LED, non-brush, fridge, freezers, that kind of thing which you use is free. 1.5 kilowatt freezers you can connect, 1.5 kilowatt fridges you can connect, and then you build it up. If your fuel energy consumption is over 3-4 kilowatt, then you need a cascade unit. Yes?
For example, we run this system for about 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year later, we switch off the main
Yeah.
engine. The system continues.
We're not talking about this. We're talking about the installation and the use of the system. So you got to realize, and I had a huge discussion this morning, that there is no scientific data paper anywhere we can go to check. So what the buyers and the Keshe Foundation supporters, you are doing with what you come back to us, we are setting up a data bank, a new data bank for a new knowledge for mankind. This is where it's going to happen. Before, it was testing and hiding when it wasn't correct, whatever. This time, what we thought in past week is us collectively are building the technology, collecting data for governments, for ourselves, and for the other people who are using it. If we don't do it this way, what you've been dreaming and chasing, free energy, will never come around, because somewhere it gets blocked. Now we have taught enough. You are building your units, build a second unit, understand how you use it step by step, and we follow it through, and we set up data for everybody else. Like I received an email this morning, Skype mail this morning, that somebody in Sweden says, Keshe Foundation cannot be responsible if you know this, that you have to warn people that if you connect your light bulbs, the light bulb will blow up and the toasters will burn out in nano-coated. You connect your toaster after second week, after third week. You'll find out every time you connect and disconnect, the surge of using AC will get your meter moving. But if your system continuously goes on, even with the resistive load, it will not move. It'll go very, very slow. You go down by 50, 60, 70, 80%. But if you keep on unplugging and plugging back in your resistive system, every time you go in till it settles down, you show the usage of energy on your meter. Once we release the energy units, as a generator, you don't have this problem. This problem at the moment sits with the plug connected to the power supply. So you are not getting, as I said, 1 plus. You're having 1 plus plasma technology, plasma energy. So we have to learn how to work with this plasma. It's not the way we are used to it. We can plug in and out the minute we buy. As I said yesterday, when you buy a freezer, you got to leave it, or the fridge, you got to leave it for 24 hours, 48 hours, that it climatizes in the house. If you read your manuals when you buy a freezer, they tell you, even most of the electronic system, you leave them in the house where they're going to be used for a day or two. We've done this for years. That the temperature, everything settles down. But this time is not the temperature. You have to have the plasma to settle down. You can't do, we're seeing now people who are testing, they put a meter before it, a meter after it, and says, oh, it's the same current that's going in, is coming out, there is no saving. You have to allow the system to build the structure in a circuit. It's not that you connect and you take direct from it. You have to establish a circuit that it builds on. It starts nano coating and then you see the change. As much nano coating is needed on this end as on this end, because you have to nano coat both the incoming and the outgoing by the plasma. This is where you will find out a lot of problem with a lot of people who buy this power unit, and they come and they say there is something wrong with it, it doesn't work, and the only thing it doesn't work, it means you have not understood, you're dealing not with pen and paper. When you start using computers, there was no pen, you had to learn how to use the keyboard. Now you have to learn how to use these systems, and then after a while it becomes natural process. We expect huge amount of opposition in coming days. We've seen the first one this morning. We've seen this morning the first phase of opposition coming in, and it's coming mainly from, again, through Belgium. But the world doesn't go around a very smallest nation on this planet. We are collectively adding to it. We have to see how the structure goes and learn how to use it. We did not have a steering wheel on a donkey, and we didn't have a brake on the donkey when we used to ride the donkey. We developed cars, we learned about the red lights, we created red lights, we created green lights, we created junctions, we created the engines and everything else for it. This is a new cycle. You have to learn the use of the plasma. And the best way I could see that I could bring this technology out was the way we used it for ambassadorial meeting. Then we brought this week teaching that you understand what you're doing. And thirdly, now we teach you the do's and don'ts and some things you cannot do now, but you can do later. So please be very, very clear that these units are not electric current units. These are plasma unit. Plasma means magnetic gravitational. We are not talking about electron vibration. Even though at this moment we are using the conventional systems to be able to use this power. This is very important. This is where the change will come, and this is where in the coming weeks when people start reporting they're not paying electricity bill, you become like a wildfire. We just got to tolerate the next 2 or 3 weeks till people start showing the use, the advantage. Government starts seeing the drop in supply, need for power generation. If we get stopped or blocked, start building as many as you can. This is the only way we can overcome the embargo on the science. If the governments stop you to plug in the system, buy yourself a small generator. It takes you 2 or 3 weeks. The money you're paying for the electricity, you pay for the fuel of the generator, you nano coat your house, you connect this to the generator plug. We did in Africa. In Africa, when there is no electricity, which is 90% of the time, we have generators, we just plug into a generator, everything else on the fridge, freezers, and the rest. Connect it to a small generator, nano coat the house, and then you find out you don't need to run the generator slowly. So we cannot allow the process to stop. And you have to understand how it's done. This energy is a DC. The plasma energy is DC. Once we manage to get the power supply input off the grid and we become a generator, you'll find out no one can even get electrocuted. Don't forget what Edison did to Tesla. Edison brought the elephant and connected it to AC. Elephant was dead, to say DC cannot harm. This is plasmatic DC. It's not electron vibration DC. It's much more powerful. It can deliver everything you need. Because now it's not a claim. Now it's you who have to bring it out, show it, and do it. Hundreds of people, thousands of people at the moment are building these coils. We gave you the technology. We gave you the knowledge free. The way you went on the internet to get here to see how you can make it, use the same internet, go in the MAGRAPH section and put your observations. Put what you see, do's and don'ts. This morning, when I received the text on the Skype, the gentleman wrote me a big, it was not to me, it was sent to somebody else, and she forwarded to me. It's a big things. This is what happens because we spoke with a light bulb in Northern Europe. They are testing it. They've gone into the test already. And they said these are the problems they see. Immediately, I passed it on to the manufacturers. Please put this on the manual. That these are the things people can do, they cannot do. And I thank these people from, I think they're from Scandinavia or Norway, wherever they are. I can't remember them. My phone is not here to tell you who they are. This is the most beautiful thing you could do for the foundation. And when we say foundation, as I explained to the camera crew, the foundation is not me. The foundation is you. There is a huge misunderstanding at this moment in the people around the foundation. Keshe Foundation belongs to you, not to me. You are, every single one of you, a Keshe Foundation. This is where the day I die, Keshe Foundation is owned by the world population, not by anybody else. The inheritance doesn't go to my children or to my dog. Every single one of you become a shareholder in the Keshe Foundation. So You have to decide how you want to translate this technology back to yourselves. You make one family out of yourself in a way you don't want to see your child get hurt. You do, you test, you come, this is what it is. And as I said, I thank the people who wrote this text to us in a very kind way, but warning of the problem, but we already knew about the problem, and it's not a problem, it's understanding how to use the system. You will not see rapid reduction in your power supply bill. It will be very, 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 very gradual, and you will pay the resistive value. If you start using the system now, around Christmas, if you put a cascading unit, you can heat the house with 2-3 electric heaters, 1.5 here, or boil the water in a boiling electric boiler. If you have, it's not a 10 kilowatt, 20 kilowatt, a small boiler heater that you can heat the house up, the water up, and constantly does, because at the moment you get to a temperature, you have to stop and you put the timing, you're going to heat up from 7 o'clock when you get home till 10 o'clock you go home because you can't pay the electricity. And in that time you use all the energy, you boil the water with the 10 kilowatt bars, whatever to get there. Now you put the bar at 4 kilowatt, 24 hours a day, you run it. You find out you pay hardly any bill. It's change of habit. It's a change of the way we have worked. You have an air condition. Air conditions are more or less what we see free on the system. Air cores, because they don't heat up, they use a different system. The ones which have a fan system, blowers, they seem to be treated by the system as a passive and not a resistive. So in America, in California, and that kind of part of the world, you can connect your air core after 2 or 3 weeks when you build it up and run it 24 hours a day. If you're paying €100, most probably now you pay €20. When we bring the generator units on their own, then you are totally independent. As we talk, we are testing the oscillation and we're seeing if we can go to the generator unit. So please try to understand. Do not go and jump into the deep end. Do not go and try to prove it won't do more than 2 kilowatt or I can do 3 kilowatt. System has a resistor. The cable can take to 3 kilowatt, but it's been put at 3.2 kilowatt. The cable can stand, but you heat up your elements and then it becomes a cutoff. Build up the system, cascade it, and use it. You are building the systems. You have built the systems. We do the ones who can't do, but understand the process. There are safety factors. The possibility of putting energy back into the grid is likely. The governments won't pay you for it, but the energy you put back into the grid is a plasmatic. So your nano coating, it becomes easier for your government to transmit more electricity in the grid with less power losses on transmission. In a way, you're serving your nation both ways. You got to realize there is no way, under no circumstances, that this process can be stopped anymore. The way we taught, the way you have shared it, has guaranteed the survival of the technology. This is the way, the only way I could see, with the resistance we received in Belgium over years, that we could overcome, and it has worked. My job in teaching you how to make a system is that if we close the factory, we deliver all your goods, the rest of you can produce as much as you like. Because now you start teaching each other. You start putting classes, start putting sessions, how to make the Maghreb system, and then you'll find out in 2 years' time, we are not novelties, we won't be shut down because people will start using it. People will come up with the new systems. This is the change. This is the only way we could introduce new technology out of the hand of major corporations in the hand of the people. You cannot even comprehend. You stand here or watch this program and you look, you got a Maghreb system or something there. But if you understand the shift in the world of science, in the world of energy production, then you will see it, how it will affect every single one of you in the next 12 months. When people start using it, because now we've seen it. Americans are building it, Chinese are at it, the Europeans are at it, the Philippines are producing it. They stop the unit here to be produced in Europe, we switch immediately to Philippines for delivery. We will not stop. If there is any opposition in any shape or form, we switch production to non-European section, then the European nations will suffer with it, and the rest of the world will develop with it. In Africa, they don't care, because they can only produce 1 kilowatt or one, let's say, megawatt per day, and they have to share it. Everybody gets a little by little by little. This way, when most of the people can produce their own energy slowly, 1 megawatt, instead of going to 1,000 houses, will go to 20, 30,000 houses. That's the whole purpose. In Europe, you will get, or America, you get multi-conglomerates trying to block. But the only thing you block, they allow the third world nations in energy consumption, energy production, bypass the whole of European nations and American nations. So it's you who has to translate the knowledge to those who don't understand. I did as one teacher. Now there is thousands of US teachers. Anybody who puts a blockage or criticism, there is something wrong with me or my technology, these are the people who have how they blocked you in the head, and they are trying to show their ignorance through using the foundation. So what we say is very simple. We do not have a problem with the technology, but you do not have a technology problem either. Learn how to use it. In a few weeks' time, when we release the food unit, you will have a bigger crisis, other people saying. What I heard today from the major company this morning was, if this is working and what it is, why is not in the press? So it cannot be real. I said, are you crazy? As a major international corporation, you're telling me if it's not on CNN, it cannot be true? We release the name of the company, you'll find out. We checked, there is nothing in the press about this technology. So we have to do something about it. If it was on television, we would have agreed. But we can't find anything on an international news media on televisions about it. They don't want to cooperate because we are not on CNN. And you know, Fox has blocked the Keshe Foundation for nearly 5 years anyway. This is what I battle day and night in the background, trying to bring this technology out. Now we see the conglomerates will join us, or they try to block. But the blockage is not really important anymore. The only thing is important is to learn to use it the correct way, that they'll find out it's enough of it going around, we don't need to do. We know major power producing companies, major electronic companies are sitting in the background watching. We even saw a joke with Vince a couple of days ago. One of the comes from the IP of the major corporation. Vince, would you like to say who it is, or we don't mention their name? They place the 1 million order unit. And then, but it comes from their major headquarter IP in Taiwan. Am I correct, Vince? Pardon? Yeah. So we see it coming. It means if they put that one, they're telling us we are watching you. When originally I invited General Electric to develop this technology some 5 years ago, they said to me, we have sold so many of these windmills that for the next 15 years we are okay. We don't need a new technology. So you see the problem. The commitment to the future made, invested, has to be returned. So they have to block this way. No technology, no energy unit, no science has ever been delivered so direct to so many people at the same time. Please, this is what I said on Monday when we started. Produce it in as many factories as you can. Produce it in as many houses as you can, that we, as a Keshe Foundation worldwide, will change the course of humanity. But it's a new technology. Understand it. Use it the way it should be. We don't know everything. We will find out. And as I said from the beginning, the first day, there are no standards at this moment which can handle such a technology. We have no measurement system for a plasma release. The only thing they're concerned is what electron you put in, what electronic power you get out. How much power in electron vibration, and that's all they have. So the rest to them is non-existent. The only way is you run it, you see your meter drops, you see you're not using any power from the government, and then you see there is a change. One of the points which I have to go back to, because it was mentioned to me this morning, and we always listen to our advisors, is some of you, as he said, 2 out of 10 have got it right. A lot of you have wondered your coils clockwise instead of anti-clockwise, and you think you're doing it anti-clockwise. But your windings are clockwise, and then you'll say the system doesn't work. When you look at your coils, when you're winding your coils, look from the end which you start, not the end when it comes to you. When you look at it, if you see this one, this is a clockwise. And people don't understand, turn it upside down, they say this is anti-clockwise. From the point you start, it has to be winded this way. And a lot of you looking at the end, oh, this is anti-clockwise, it's okay. It's anti-clockwise from the point of the entry of the energy. If you look, this is, where's Fabio there? Pardon? It's not there. We go close. You see, this system, when you look at it, it's clockwise. You have to understand this, because when you look, your winding has to go this way. And this is your beginning of wire. A lot of you look at the end which comes out and you say, this is anti-clockwise. This is what I see, or actually is a clockwise. Is he there? Yeah, we need him because we need some close-up pictures, please. This is one of your problems when you're producing. Some of you, the easiest way is when you take your bar, we've seen a lot of you using these drills. It's very simple. Which way do you wind it? Or when you start the right way. Push your hand over the bar. Not just because it's there and it looks anti-clockwise, because when you look down this way, it's correct. So understand the way you're winding your bars. Secondly, make sure that when you make your caustic, when you make your nanomaterials, you make a homogeneous layers. As we've seen in the teaching, when you use caustic, you heat it up in a caustic, you leave it, it's a popcorn, it has to grow, then do it for a second time. That if there is anywhere gap left, you short it, and when it is done, it's a better coating. When you make your ganses, make sure you make ganses which is above copper in energy, which means you always need oxidization. That you create gravitational magnetic field gradient flow. Make sure that when you make your capacitors, the winding of the paper or the cloth you might use to insert the capacitor, the negative point inside the positive, is tight, is not loose inside each other. Make sure that you wind it anti-clockwise. Because even though you think you're putting a piece of paper or a cloth, it's part of the flux flow, it's not a matter state. You're dictating the flow of the GANs of the materials. Do not dry your GANs material when they're on the paper. Let it itself dictate when it wants to dry. We've seen somebody in one of the units, two of the units which went to the ambassadors, the guy wanted to get something done quick, he has dried it. And then we got a pulsing capacitive circuit. So allow the paste for itself to dry. Use enough paste that there is enough. When you use the central sun system of your coil, if you remember, you had a circle here, make sure you can get a good amount of GANs in the center. Try it not to be liquid, try it to be a paste. Because if it's a liquid, you find out it settles and then you don't get the balanced plasma. It has to be paste. These are little things you have to remember. Don't forget, one of the most important things is always bend your wires in. Remember, when you are twisting the two wires from one tray to another, go anti-clockwise. Then there is homogeneity. Everything is homogeneous. And then you find you get a very high performance systems. Because if even in these contacts, by accident, you make it that way, you create a blockage in a flow of plasma. Yes? No, doesn't need to touch.
What's the question?
The question is, when you turn the wires back on themselves, does it need to touch? And I said, no, it's field flow. The touch is physicality. So what you will see is development of new condition. When you connect your plasmas to make parallel capacitors, be careful very much how you connect them. That, for example, if you have a stacker of 4 or 5 capacitors. When you have the lines, these lines are always pent in. When you put your capacitors here, when you twist them, it's always anti-clockwise. And then they're tight enough that it does not move. Make sure in your capacitors you create a separation. You cascade your capacitors with some sort of tape that is insulated material. So you will understand little by little things you look after, it will give you a totally different system. Make sure when you're connecting your plates, the poles follows. Negative to positive, positive to negative. Do not, under no circumstances, worry about how the system will perform. If you've done it correctly and you go through the phase of setting it up, you'll find out in the long run you will benefit by it, it will deliver the DC, and in coming time, as we develop as the Keshe Foundation family worldwide, non-resistive heating, the only problem you have with this system is the heating systems. Anything which is heating, like a toaster, like a heater, causes you a problem. You can't get the maximum use. But even with the heating, we put a fan into it that it disturbs the flux of the element. You see huge change. Do not connect your chargers like the chargers of your drills straight away the first day in. It's a DC. These are resistive systems. They have to drop 120 to 12 volts. Burns it out. You have to understand what you're doing. In so many ways, we see, as we had yesterday, the government in their testing are making the mistakes. They are making huge mistakes, and these are scientists. They've been given the units to test them in scientific governmental lab, and one is blown up the first day. The guy doesn't understand what he's doing. One is connected, if it's non-resistive, I want to see. They've just connected a full light straight in, 4 plugs. If, I was explaining to Arman yesterday and to these people, if it was a short circuit, the light bulb should have exploded the minute you connected it. The light bulb, after 2 or 3 days, explodes because does not allow the system to, it's a background noise. Oh, she walked in with it. Jesus. It's her. So you get the tungstens cannot connect. If you're using these kind of systems, switch it on for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, switch it off next day, an hour later. Again, switch the light on for a few minutes till you establish the system. If you have a heater, we know a 2.5, 3 kilowatt heater, which we see, in 54 minutes switches the system off. But if you make a cascade, let it run for about 10 minutes, switch it off, another day, another half an hour later when it's cool, switch it on for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, that the heating element itself gets working through plasma, you'll find out you get a more efficient system than actually you had before. If you plug it in the minute you get a heater, you burn it. But if you tame it, teach it how to do, nano coat it very slowly, then you will see the system itself will work on a plasma and not on electron. Because now the energy comes in a plasmatic, goes through the heating plasmatic, and then you get no problem. But if you go and put the toaster, long run, I've seen today, it'll be damaged, and Foundation can be responsible. We told you, watch what you're doing, do it slowly, and then you find out the system will change. One of the things which most of you will find out is if you're using like hand drills. If you're, please put this one in the warning events, it has to be typed in. If you're using like drills, hand drills, if you're using the cutting system, you'll find out it's like if you're going at 1,000 rev, you have a power of like 1,500 rev. Am I correct, Armin? You feel the pressure, you feel the strength. When you use the car units, you feel the same. You don't need fuel adjustment, but you will see the car performs totally different. In the car system, when you connect the stacker unit, we haven't taught you this, we go to the car unit, you understand how it works. You have the stacker unit you made, you had the gravitational line, which is a negative. You had your magnetical on the top. For the car unit, all you need to do, you put one single capacitor here. This was your negative. This was your positive. You connect the negative of your capacitor to here, and then you connect the positive of capacitor into the positive of your battery. This is suggested, we release the picture, to be connected to manifold. You don't connect it back to the battery. You connect your negative to the manifold at the, what we suggest, at the airflow position, because then it does the job. So when you do the car unit, this is your stacker. You still have two wires. Instead of going through the, what you call the cigarette lighter, you go directly into the car compartment. The cables are strong enough to carry the power, and you'll find out you start seeing reduction in your consumption. What we have seen, as I explained before, if you remember, you want me to stop? No? No. What you will see in your systems is a slowly reduction in fuel consumption, because now your fuel, your energy is coming from the plasma. This is what you will see and how the structure will change. You find these units work perfectly for the car. You'll see 10, 15, 20%, 30%, 40% reduction in your fuel consumption. In a way, at the moment, you have a fuel tank, and what is traditionally done now, you tank it with a fuel, and some of you now have a gas tank in the boot of the car that you switch between the gas and the fuel, depends which one is cheaper and which one finishes first. Or at this moment of time, in the world of car automotive, you're used to what you call a hybrid. You still have your gas tank, and this time you have an electric motor running it. Now, what you have is the third element, your plasma unit. You are not saving on energy. Most probably you're using more energy because the plasma is so powerful, you're just using a little bit of it. The rest is getting wasted, nano-coating your system, nano-coating your rusted car. But now we have a third part into the hybrid operation. Be it this, or be it this, or if you have a fuel tank, now you have a plasma next to it. There is no saving. This is what I try to get out of all of your heads. We are not saving no energy. There is no saving business in this world. The conservation of energy law tells us there has to be somewhere that you can use it. If there is nothing there, it cannot be used. And these boxes and the power units you make are not magic boxes. They are a new energy system. So now we see if you have any of these cars, we said and we warn with the gas tanks, be careful because we don't know the performance. Is the nano coating is going to be done internally in all the gas and how it will behave. In this system, we know is part of it, most probably it nano coats everything in your electric motors. The system initially does not need any carburetor adjustment or timing, but as you find out you're using less and less fuel, you might have to go to a mechanic and adjust your timing or your fuel consumption. And it gets to the point with some people that they've gone to the maximum, they can't go any lower in reduction of the fuel feed. So the car units are the same, the nano units are the same, and the 500 watt starting point after the first week, it should be a way to use it. I was explaining this to somebody very recently, and if you understand the similarity. This unit is like a puppy you take home. It has a leash. It needs taming, it needs understanding, it needs training, then you can enjoy the puppy. And the leash is in your mind and in your behavior, not in a cable. That's all it is. If you can't live with the dogs, don't get one. Stay with the present power, pay your bills, and worry about 3 hours heating and shiver the rest of the summer, winter in the cold, and pay all your bills the way you do. That's all it is. It's a new. When you have a puppy in the house, you change a lot of things to accommodate it. This is energy puppy. With it, it comes the food, it comes the medicine, and the rest of it. You have to change your behavior in respect to whatever you used to do wrong. Or you aren't doing wrong, but you were doing it because there was no understanding of the work of the plasma. So the choice is yours. If for you to adopt into a new cycle of energy is too hard, keep away from plasma technology. Because the problem is not the system, the problem is, for some of us, we are too old to adjust to the new. But because the return is financial, we learn it. I explain to you in a very good system, in a good way to understand. If you're paying 2,000 euro, and let's say 150, 180 euro per month electricity bill in the West, and in a way, even if you look at some of your meters, you'll find out the present meters in Europe, especially in Western Europe, are not is what you see. You are what for let's say 1500 kilowatts. The meters are set in a way they don't deliver to you more than 1200. That 300 extra you pay, which is built up, is to pay for charges which could not put on. If we heard yesterday, 2 days ago, they did a survey on all the grinded meat in use in America across the United States. The one they make a hamburger with and the rest. Without fail, 100% of what you buy in public contain excrement of the animal. All of them. You eat a burger, you're eating, excuse my French, the shit of the cow. It's on the internet, a statistic done by the government, by the research centers. It's the same thing in power. We've seen it in our tests. Doesn't matter what you use, it still shows 4 kilowatt hour a day. You unplug yourself, you still 4 kilowatt, you put your heating, if it goes over 4 kilowatt, the meter shows you. But day and night, you pay, and you got used to it. My bill is always around 100 euro a month, because it's set that way. And in fact, you haven't used more than 80. The electronic systems are well set that way, and it's been shown how it is. If you take your meter out and give it to reputable organizations to measure, what you put in, what you get out, is not the same. So if, let's say, you are paying 150 euro a month for your electricity, in building this system, in manipulating, understanding its behavior, by the end of the year, you might possibly pay, let's say, roughly 1,200 euro in your pocket. You pay 800 to the government or to your supplier. If you set it up very efficiently and we develop the generators, this becomes totally zero. But the saving for you is this. What can you do with 1,200 euro a year? What about if your total income wage for the house for your children is, let's say, 15,000 a year? It's a huge chunk. The food for the child is the clothing, a holiday, a comfort. If you are spending 30 euro a week on fuel, and now you only pay, let's say, 20 on the war side, that's another 10 euro a week. That's another 500. Total, 1,700 euro a year out of 15,000 in the house. The saving for the families is beyond. That's why we brought it out this way, that that cannot be opposed. They tried to block us with the servers, they tried to do everything with our banks and everything else, because now you see the reason. Over few million people have watched, will watch these teachings, they make their coils, they buy the systems, and then what happened? They start saying, it does save. I'm not paying the bill. I am producing my own energy. Instead of the government becoming supplier, I'm supplying myself. If you put a plant pot on your balcony and you grow tomatoes, never government comes to tell you why you're growing tomatoes, you don't buy it from the shop down the road which is making the tomatoes or bought it from the market somewhere. You are growing your own energy. You don't need huge greenhouses. You don't need to pay for somebody to build it, to grow a tree somewhere in Brazil or Mexico for the CO2 which you are putting in there. If you look at it, in fact, even you go to that extreme, see how many trees you are saving. The trees which are charged, paid for, never planted. So you've got to understand, if we go the way we are going, we bring energy supply as a generator. Hopefully we are on the way, what I see in the research in the background. You can save even 2,500 for an average family in the Western world. That is 1 year holiday for a family. Holidays which children never see. Clothes which children never wear. Now, instead of going into conglomerates, goes on a table on the back of your children. And this is what we have been fighting for. As I said, we stood poisoning to be killed, we stood shooting at, blowing car up, everything else Belgium could do to us, they've done to stop this process. And now they started a new cycle this morning. We'll let you know. So have a look. Understand it, use it, support it. If there is something wrong, don't blame. Go and see what you've done wrong. Time for blame is finished. You can't blame Keshe Foundation, has no license doing this, they can't show it. I know another guy who's built it, who's made it. What's wrong? Why he does? Why doesn't? Mine work? We have put a platform, make your comment, teach each other. Because there will never be another chance for the human race to have access to energy this way. All whales, they covered it, they licensed the plant, they licensed their land, gold, what do you call it, coal mines is all owned, you can never have, so they have got you by, as we say in English, short and careless. You know exactly what it means. So, look, the change is in your hand, not mine. I've risked my life, it's on the board. You've been taught good enough, hazards are there, we know the hazards is the ignorance of the knowledge, nothing else. If you don't understand it, you don't know how to nanocode properly, you don't know how to produce cancers. You saw yesterday, out of nowhere, we see a team of 500 people in America. What does the guy say? The children and the women are doing it. We taught them. What does it mean? Now, those children and women, if they manage to make the gas, they already made the nano layer, they have enough wires that they can beat the child who learned to make the gas, now has the food as well. He's made his own food. This is the change. Try. I get arrested, I got put into prison. What is planning now? We hear in the background they're trying to do for illegally producing energy. You know it. Carry on with it. Every effort has been made by the German Third Reich which they were trying to get their hands on this technology, and the Belgians together to somehow get me into problem. No problem. I can stay 20 years in prison, but 20 children will have food on the table is worth it. This is what is get planned. But Third Reich came to us in Belgium, and they said the technology belongs to us, is the continuation of what Hitler did. You have to give it to us. I said, if you're a government of the nation, go to your nation. If your prime minister or a president write to me, the chancellor, that I have give you the energy, I give you. And now they started a whole vast kubudo on the internet. Go to the bank, money laundering, and the rest of it, and it gets fed by the Belgians inside. But now it's out. If you go on the internet, it's all German Third Reich people. They came with their clothing, with a cap and everything into Ninov, asking for the technology. And now you see them on the internet. There's 20, 30 of them, plus the Belgians. They managed to create a mayhem against 7 billion of us. Once you produce it, we give these people to where they have to be. So understand very simply, from today, from this week, we went step by step into teaching. We can go back. If we can go to the teaching of the yesterday, this is recorded the ones yesterday, or you don't have it. Go in understanding how to connect, go in understanding how to manage the energy, that you can cut this energy into food, into fuel, into heating, and teach each other. Because after, no, it's not there. Start warfare, it's the file folder. Just open it, let's have a look. It's okay, if it's not there, it's no problem. In so many ways, the whole process is completed. The teaching process is completed. The understanding of the process is fully understood by every single one of you. Help each other, teach each other. Do not look if it's a black, white, Christian, Jews, Muslims, Chinese, or whatever. Share it very, very rapidly. Go set up teaching classes. Set up teaching in your own languages to teach. The power of application. This is the one from yesterday.
There is another one.
That's okay. That's good enough. You've seen how this is all I was waiting for. This is what I was looking for. You've seen the simple structure. If you add 5 capacitors there and 4 here, become power supply for the house. And to today's one, you've seen you don't need that. A single capacitor here becomes for your car. Just one capacitor, just to protect your one actual, yes, one of these tiny little things called lava, call them. They're gorgeous. We made it. No, you can't. You're going to have a problem. Do not connect your house unit to a car unit. You're going to have a problem. You're going to have a meltdown. You're surely going to have a meltdown. No, you can't. Thank you very much for bringing it up. Do not use your car unit in your house unit, because it's a different way of handling. In the in the car unit, your AC is after, because your battery creates AC. It's not just a DC. The 12-volt battery you put in your car is not a pure DC supply. It's a DC AC. It's that AC in the plates which allows you to push the current through the car. The difference, maybe you haven't understood. Let me explain it to you. At the bottom of a new page. In the house unit, you connected yourself to a 50 hertz supply, and you've enhanced the stacker, and you get your energy out. In the car unit, you still connect yourself to the car battery as a unit, but here you have two parameters in a car battery. One DC and one AC. And the DC part, the AC part of the battery does the same as this, triggers the plasma to release. Understand what you're doing. Even the ones of you who put the coils around your wire, what do you call it, your batteries, that's what you've done. The plasma triggering comes from the AC section of the battery. There's a guy in Germany, I explained to you before in the presentation in Frankfurt 4 or 5 years ago, wrote a system. He said, this is the battery, it's the 12 volts, and this is what's going to give so many watts. I think if I remember, was 37 watts. I have made a little system here. You can get 49, if I remember correctly, watt out of the same battery. It's a magic, free energy. I said to him, excuse me, can I ask you a question? I said, can you tell me what is the AC section? He said, you're not telling the rest of the conference the whole of the truth. What you have done, you have created an inverter which here creates 12 watts through the inverter available for use. All your batteries, even your small 9-volt batteries, have an AC and a DC in them. It's a natural process of chemical reaction. So when you see they give you a 37 watt, in my box I can give, I said run the battery for 3 weeks, show me there's a free energy. It'll stop when the DC dies. You have to understand the step of the work. The strange thing is, we tell you, do not use your energy system for tungsten lights, the old-fashioned, not the saving lights at the beginning. We tell you, don't use resistor load in your house unit, but stand still for 1 second. In your cars, what are your headlights? All the lights and everything are made of tungsten. The main beams still use the old-fashioned. You still have a heating system in your airco. How come it works there and it doesn't work in the house? Because in the car, the way you have connected it, the energy is already get automatically through the, what we call the chassis part connection, distributed across the car. So the ones who say that you cannot use it with the tungsten lights and the rest, you have to understand why. Because the first time you do it, it's a rapid flow. When you nano coat the house, you can use any kind of light. Because if it was the, what do you call, the plasma which was damaging, it should blow up the lights in the car the minute you turn the car on and you have your units on. It doesn't happen. You will get much better acceleration out of your car. Be careful. It looks like if you have, like, let's say 1600, what do you call it, cc engine, it feels like 2400. Be careful. It's a new animal. You feel the difference. You handle. It's the same as I said with Armin. When the first time he put the drill on, he says it feels power, it's more powerful than normal. It's the same thing. So understand the new technology. Understand the new way to use it.
Hello. We seem to have lost the feed here, I believe. Hello, Mr. Kesh.
Hello.
Yes, hello. I think we lost the connection there for a bit. Just a second.
Who is there shouting? Hello?
There's all the microphones open when the feed cuts out from you there. So when you come back in, the microphones are open. You have to mute them immediately.
When did you lose us?
I'm not sure what the last word was. We lost you for about 30 seconds or so there.
Okay, we just saw you going down. We stopped. The minute I saw you, the light going, the camera, I stopped. Nothing was taught.
Okay. Well, if you can just pick up from where you left off there, I guess. And
Yeah, okay. So when you understand the totality of it, you are adding a new dimension in the science, but this time we are doing it collectively. I was explaining this to somebody, and maybe it's a good comparison. We saw how a few people decided to make the knowledge of the internet free to all of us. A simple decision by a few people allows all of us to use www, World Wide Web Net, where it was exclusivity. And now you see how that allowing it to be shared by everyone has allowed us all collectively to benefit by sharing knowledge and everything else. This time, we've done the same thing instead of on the internet or for internet. We're doing it for energy, food, and the rest. This is a collective decision of thousands of us instead of one or two people to share the knowledge of the plasma collectively. There'll be a lot of opposition from only those who want to confirm their meager existence, that they want to use the technology to show they exist. Governments have picked up the technology, they're running with it. People like you, now when you start putting it on the internet, will use it, come back on this, what do you call it, the website of the foundation, tell us how much energy you save, how much was, how much is, how much addition you are using without adding to your meter. The present electronic meters are keyed up only to show you what they want to charge you, even though you're not using it. It will not show the flow of the plasma into the grid. If you are using the system for 2-3 months, go and ask your neighbor upstairs. Ask them, has your energy dropped? Have you noticed reduction in your bill? Can you take a measurement of your bill, of your meter? Have you changed anything? Go to the second floor, to the third floor, and follow how you are changing the life of the people. The old lady next door, which does not need to pay electricity because she can heat herself, she'll bless you. She will know you've done it, but it's there. How many old people die in the winter time trying to save energy, not to pay electric bill, that they have food to eat? I know hundreds of them. Yes.
Using the cascade to magnetize, we have neighbors, how far down should we go?
You have to be connected to each other. We haven't tested it. We
Can you
know.
the question was?
I don't know. We haven't tested it. The way we see it, the way it's possible your neighbors will benefit by you is this way, through the grid. Your meter is here and your next door is here, but you both fed from the same pipe. You put your system here, you are nano-coating them first. There is a very big possibility. There is a huge possibility. We leave it for you to come up with it. Is that by unit or by 2 units, keep one at one extreme of your house and one at extreme of their house and join them together. You will tell us. Go in the upper floors in the apartments. Leave one right on the top floor and one on the bottom and see over the next 12 months how people's electricity bill drops. But you have to nano coat it step by step. You can't just plug it in, it blows up. We have to understand the limitation of this new technology. Yes. Aaron wants to tell me something. Pardon? Show me. Is it to do with today? Yes? What is it? Let me see what Armand has to show me. What is it? Today, that's the moon.
Mr. Cash, we can't hear.
No, Armand is trying to show me a picture which just appeared on the internet. Nothing to do with us. It's like the, seeing two suns on the same horizon. It's just been posted on the internet. So you got to go back, and this brings you back to a very, very direct point. We brought this technology and the way we showed it for one thing, to make one nation. One planet, one race. If you look at it, to achieve this, all of you have to become one Keshe Foundation. That's the only alternative. Because when you work that way, you achieve it. If we see what we see as a KFSSI, and we share the knowledge, teach each other the same way, then we achieve the goal. Pardon? Hello?
Yes, the live stream seems fine, but the feed from KFSSI keeps fading in and out. The copy and the
Is the Fabio here? We need Fabio. Can you ask Fabio to come? Because we got a problem. Yeah.
No, I think that was when the microphone wasn't on. From people were talking in the background. People thought that
We need
on and
Fabio, please. Pardon? Oh, you can hear me downstairs. Please do not move today. Stay here. There is nothing important down here. So, understand the way we're going to do this, and the secret to it is understanding for ourselves and for our nation and then for humanity. You saw certain figures. This is very interesting. If you understand it, if I can go back to the previous page, this is yesterday's. But how can I have what we were doing this morning, today? Okay. Let's go back to it. It doesn't matter. We start a new page. It's okay. I start a new page. Because this is what I explained. You will understand where your opposition will come from. The opposition to use this technology, as I explained, forget about the health and the food, because now we are in the pocket of the energy and fuel. You are saving 2,500, or let's say 2,000 euro for one family. Let's say on average in Italy, old man, young man, big houses, small houses, everything together, we save 1,000. How many families are in Italy? 25 million? 30 million families? It's 72 million of you. It must be about, let's say, 20 million households. And we say average what it is. You make this 2, and we put the million in front of it, 20 million. That's the fuel saving of 20 billion minimum in the hand of the Italian nation from one little tiny box. Italy has won the jackpot. This is the money which you don't have to spend for importing fuel. And if you add it up in totality with everything else which is going to bring, don't forget, The factories are going to stop using the common system. They're going to go to this. You've seen the Philippines are building their factory industrial sizes. The others, the lorries, the trucks, we're going to contact all the truck manufacturers in Italy in next week. We're going to give contract to them to build it. We show them, they put it on 2 trucks, driving from Rome to Milan, see one without and one with. Would you like to have a box? The total saving for importing fuel, anything between 50 to 70 billion. That's the hard work the Italians have been doing, and every year banking it in Saudi Arabia. Or Italians, you've been getting it from Libya. The game is huge. In next 48 hours, in the next 72 hours, most of the units will be in your hands. By Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you start receiving it. Some of the people we see the Third Reich is putting in there, get in touch with the customs, try to stop them. To stop what? People are doing it at their home. You see on the German line, the Germans, we can give you their names, and in Belgium, they're busy getting in touch with the customs. Custom what? Europe, there is no custom. We got rid of the borders. And the Africans, you've seen, we asked the ambassadors to come. They can import anything government to serve their nation without customs. So you see, the change sits very, very squarely in the pocket of the nations, which the assets, the labor work, all the things which you've done does not need to go out. And as I said before, if you can save 50 or 70 billion a year, not importing, you have to find a cut. Because you're not using the fuel, you're not paying the taxes. This is out of your national pocket. Because you're not spending it anymore on the fuel, but you're spending it on the Italian cars, on the Italian clothing, on what you need, so you bring money. The problem at the moment, especially like in a country like Italy, is people don't have the money. They are paying for these huge fuel bills. They cannot add things that Italians manufacture, like clothing, pots and pans, and the rest of it, to create employment. So this money, which you save, becomes part of the structure of the industry to regenerate itself. Governments go in all sorts of tax fiddles to find 1 billion that they can tell you can have 1% tax, reduction. And they win elections. With this technology, you got yourself a huge tax deduction. This money, which you save, which the government doesn't take as taxes, most of it, now that you have it, will be spent on clothing, on furniture, on feeding, and everything else which the nation needs. And you create a new employment side. It's your job to bring what it is in front of people to see what it is, what they are missing and what is not going to happen. A lot of you listen to the Keshe Foundation. I gave a lot of talk in respect to the peace negotiation between Iran and 5+1. Spoke to the people who sit at the highest level in Senate. They understood, opposition stopped. And the Iran policy, peace policy with Iran 5+1 gone through. Because nobody could explain to Americans a simple equation like this. I explained to the Senate, you're going to oppose to stop the Iran peace treaty. Tell me which member of Senate can go to the Senate and to the House and say the peace with Iran will bring between 5 and 10 million jobs to the American industry. And I'm going to oppose it. It clicked with the Senate guy. And the guy who was the head of the opposition of Iran peace treaty, he resigned. He understood. He cannot go to Senate. He cannot raise opposition to say, we don't want 10 million jobs, which is coming from the process for the peace with Iran. Go in the news, read it. Overnight, he understood what was explained to the American press in the background. I said, you're going to oppose 10 million jobs. I explained it in Mike Harris' show. People don't see. You in Italy, forget about America, forget about Germany, which is totally fuel dependent in different ways. You see what you do for your country. We are not supplying nobody outside the Italian border. We just submit what it is. We just produce for the Italian nation. We still need about 10 years to produce everything. And one of the first things we're going to do in the coming weeks, we supply the car units to the truck industry in this country. They don't need to do anything else. I put 10 in 10 trucks from the same company. It shows it works. Do you know how it works? Because I've been through this process once before in 1990s. You don't know about my background. You don't know what I've done. But we've shown through the group to the truck industry how GPS will save them money. Every car had it. Because when there wasn't a GPS, the truck drivers were anywhere. They took the car for delivery of their goods to their cousins. The truck on a Friday weekend was somewhere else, was supposed to be in London, was appearing in Birmingham delivering something. And we said, you know something? You don't have to worry. A GPS unit, put it in the truck. Wherever they go, it shows. Drivers couldn't drive when we were going to see the uncle on the way from Birmingham to God knows somewhere else. The fuel drop was so fast, all the trucks got GPS on it. The technology, as I explained before, was brought by a Jewish guy into Manchester, into Leeds. This is going to be the same. In next 2 weeks, they say us, there is no press review. I don't do anything. I take 10 units to a truck company, free test, and give me the bill at the end, how many kilometers, how much fuel you've saved. Don't pay me full saving, pay the foundation 30% that I can pay, make units for the other Italians in this country. We do not have the capacity to produce enough. Let the Belgians and the Germans fight their own customs. Units are made, units are getting delivered. Stop them in the customs, you know how to do it. I planned this process so immaculately that they can close all our banks. I don't give a shit. What we sold is paid for, we have it, we deliver it, and then we give the Italians a chance to prosper their nation. You gave us room to develop, to complete out of the shackles of the prison of Belgium. We gave you the biggest gift the Italians ever had. We are committed to this country and we stand by it and we deliver our commitment. Let them fight their own battles. And then we see where they go. It's the same with the health section. In the coming weeks, when we deliver the health section, the food section, the saving by the nation, not importing a lot of things, is going to go into trillions. So make your stacker units. as many as you can. And this is what some people said, the guy is crazy. He's got a multi-billionaire job. He can be the richest man on this planet, and he's giving it free. No, I came here for one purpose. I serve my purpose. You are happy in a free energy. I'm happy in one thing, to take man into space without money. This is what we want to do. This is what the objectives of the Keshe Foundation is. In so many ways, you don't have a choice. We say in English, you're between anvil and a hammer. And they have hammered you so much that you got used to being hammered. Now you got your freedom, because the anvil to stop you, because you couldn't pay, you didn't have the knowledge, is over. So my job is, in the next few months, to take man into space. But we have to show the power of the technology that we can do the next job. You are happy with the crumbs. The crumbs are yours. While you're busy collecting crumbs, you are baking the cake. So please now understand why I told to the world ambassadors, you have 10 days. And you've seen it. On the 10th day, we open the teaching. Today is the end of the teaching as was supposed to be planned. This afternoon, we released the blueprint key on the internet, on the Keshe Foundation website. And as we promised, today, the first units are leaving the factory. I authorized the release this morning, because there was no use people receiving units in their hands when they didn't know how to handle it. Now I finished teaching. This morning, the first batch of 1,000, bless you, will start leaving the factory and will be delivered across the world. Your units get blocked, they stop your units being delivered, they come with all sorts of excuses. Ask them, what's the reason? Open it, it's just copper. Encourage the custom officers and explain to them what it does for your country, what you receive is here, this is what it does. Teach them. If you get any unit stopped by any custom officer, want to see them, want to see the boss, this is what it is, it's here, we can do it, and for nation. If the custom officer comes up with any excuse, he's well paid by somebody else. He's serving somebody else's pocket, not his nation. So, understand something very simple. Teach as fast as you can, make as many units as you can, use them as much as you can, and please come back where you landed and put your comment. It's rubbish, it doesn't work. And then we say, please show us your unit. You winded it the wrong way. Yes, it works good. I saved so much energy. Please come and explain. You saw it yesterday. You saw it in past 2 or 3 days. Every day, we brought somebody just to show. Richard was the guinea pig because he won there. He's an active member of the Keshe Foundation. You've seen him every presentation we have live in the openings. Richard is there. He's committed to the foundation to change the course of his nation. Then, 2 days later, yesterday, we see a group of 500 has popped out. The Chinese are doing it. You don't want to know what I received from Africa. So, collectively, we have achieved what we came here to do. Now it's time to harvest it. The seed is sown. Understand it. Look for the dangers. The dangers comes from not understanding the operation, not understanding the process. Teach each other continuously. You receive it, ask the others, how am I going to connect it? Is it correct? What did I miss? Don't forget, we are not delivering these units in the shop you can go and buy. We are delivering these units through the purchases through internet. And from today, the purchases have been very tightly controlled. And what happens? If you have the internet to order it, you have an internet to come and read how you have to use it, because there's no manual with your packages. We have a warning, instruction. The rest you want to learn, you have to come and read the manual on the internet. This is a discussion we had last night with Giovanni and our Italian friends here. Now we're giving 1,000 units to Italians, to the poor, or to the needy, or to the family who need it. How are we going to teach them? To them, it's just a box they think they can plug it in. Do we give it to them, educate them a week before? They have to go and confirm they've seen it, what they learned, and then they'll be given a unit. They have to find a solution. I gave the gift. They have to find a solution how people here in Italy are going to get receiving their unit. The headache is not mine anymore. The headache is yours, and how fast you can change the headache into a pleasure of using technology. Remember everything which are put on the screen. Please go to Cash Foundation Maghreb at spaceshipinstitute.org, and translate whatever is in there to your own languages, into Italian, into French, into Chinese, because your people need to understand. Spanish, anything you have. Latin American languages, Central Asian languages, translate it and put it there. The way you did with all the peace treaties, but this time is more urgent. Translate it into Japanese. In everything, translate the language. Because it's yours, not mine. If you want your nation to be as prosperous as the ones who receive it and do it, it's your responsibility. You can hate me as much as you like. I am the biggest God knows what on this planet for you. It doesn't matter. You got to serve your nation. Translate, teach them, and that's how I serve myself. Our enemies serve us better than our friends, because our friends say hello, how are you, and they go away. But enemies go to damage as much, they teach much better. So, as much as you hate me, the Third Reich, the Belgians, I thank you for it. But spread the knowledge. If you have come to understand to hate, it means you understand it has a lot of good things, but you don't get it the way you want it. That's why you hate it. You have to understand why these people create such opposition. Because they didn't want it to come into public. They controlled it for 10 years by every means. This time, Italians didn't do that. They opened it, and the more they opened it, and the more it got opened. Now they lost control. They have to have opposition. Open, just whatever name you want to put it. They've been looking for victims. They couldn't find more than 6. And as one diplomat told us, so people who are connected to the governments, they said, when we saw Cash Foundation victims, we were looking for how many around? 600? 6,000? Said just 6 of them, and they're all lunatics when you read them. This is a decision of government about how I am. So, open and teach. The governments are spending huge amount. Our Chinese colleagues can tell you, 3 sets are getting tested by 3 different departments in China. Arrived, they're testing. Georgian government at highest level is testing. Nigerians have completed their test, they're going ahead. America done the same. Japan, they're flying in to take a working unit to start manufacturing. We can't do much with the Iraqi ambassador and the Palestinian. We have to give them the unit because they've been bombed to no power supply. So please, the more you hate me, the more I love you, because the more you hate me, the more you write, the more people read, and then come and see the truth. And then we've done the process. Don't forget, when you hate me, you have to take from me. So while you're busy taking, you're giving without you knowing. This is how plasma operates. So, as I said, we could have gone and shut down all the people who wrote all the rubbish about me in past 3 4 months. And everyone says, why don't you shut them down? Do you know what rubbish they talk about you? I said, yes, because the more they write, the more people come and read. 15, 20 people creating mayhem have brought us thousands of visitors. They say, what a lunatic. Bunch of lunatics look inside to each other and say, you're very beautiful. Thank you very much. I'm beautiful too. But they don't look how the people look at a bunch of ugly lots got together. Understand something very, very interesting. The technology is yours, is not mine. In a few months, I die. This planet stays for centuries if it doesn't get destroyed in the next 22 years or 30 years. It's you, by doing it this way, will change the course of humanity, irrelevant of me. I'll become a name nobody will remember. But you become the steps for the freedom of man from everything. This was taught before, and the elite hid it away. This time, man has internet, cannot be hidden. Teach each other, use it, do not look for fault, look how you don't understand that it's your fault. To you it's a fault. And get together, understand it, and correct it. Today is the last day. We stop. We go on in the afternoon to see what is produced around the world, what people can show us. Monday I'm in Rome. Tuesday we come back. We see hopefully how people report to us. What is changed? If they see, if there is a problem, if there is a reduction. A lot of you will make a unit and plug it in, and you want to measure before you plug and after plug. I'll give you the result before you even do it. 0. You plug it, you connect it to your system, you connect it to 2 or 3 systems that you create diversity. If you do one power unit directly to here and say 1 heater, you get nothing. What you got to do is get one of these adapters. And then when you have it, you plug it in, use 3 or 4 different units. LED light, a computer, something different. Because now you create the vibration. You create the difference, and then that difference feeds down your system, nano coating all your system. The change, what you are expecting to see, will come when you put 3 or 4. When you have a 1 LED light, it takes you 10 years to nano coat. Put a LED, put a radio, put a small heat resistors. Very much. Don't go over 500 watts the first days. And let it run. But make a note, if you have a meter, if the meter changes. You will see the change in your quarterly bill. Because you don't go and check your meter every day. The groups which are working, they literally sit on their meter every day. They used to, but now they know it's they got to pay what is fixed. But they never use so much energy in their houses because everything is free now. So understand how you do it. Connect yourself, create this balance, that this balance encourages different strength plasmas to be released from the unit, then you cover a spectrum. And then you see the benefit. We know people who just brought in one plug, one heater and say, it doesn't work. I explained yesterday, put a variety. You have to create exactly what you see, a change, that the demand will create the coating. The more you can coat beyond the grid, the faster you get better free energy. Because before it comes to your meter, it's already a DC. You don't need to do it in your unit.
So the actual plug can just be plugged in the plug near the monitor.
Yes, you can fuse box.
You don't have to plug it directly into
You can plug it anywhere. Start it in one room, plug it in one room with 2, 3 small appliances and let it run for a week. And then go to the next room. You're already nano coated. Go towards the power supply because now you're nano coated. You see the difference. You have not changed. Today till Monday, Tuesday, whenever you receive your units, take a measurement of your power usage. Those of you who have bought the units. And then when you get the units and you plug it in, and the normal lights, everything you use, just switch it over to 2, 3 of them to this, and then just still take a measure unit. I was using 1.1 kilowatt today, now I'm using 1 kilowatt. And then measure it the next week, it becomes 0.8. Measure it in the following week, it becomes 0.5. You have to understand how you're doing it. Don't connect these into the circuits where there are immersion heaters. Immersion heaters will blow up. You can't do it. Impossibility. Unless your immersion heater is part of a different circuit, which they usually are. This is the water heater tanks. You can bring the immersion heater. You've got to read what power it uses. Then you put a unit, you cascade it, and then you see how much you can get. And to do that, you put a couple of heaters from your friends. You see when your system has stopped working, it means it's overloaded. You have to wait till the heater can come down. Then it gives you 4 kilowatts, 7 kilowatt resistance, and then you know that's what it needs to do. Maybe you have to adjust your heaters, heating elements. But instead of using it just whenever you need a shower, you have to wait to come on. Keep a constant use that you have a warm water whole day. You find out you save yourself a lot of energy because when it's constant, your meter doesn't move. Every time you switch it on and off, it has to reset itself and it uses electricity. If what we are doing is correct, we are looking at it, if it can be done, it's a long-term test, maybe a week or two, we'll see. If we can put an adapter here, then you can connect higher power to it. But it's work in progress. So please, I've never seen, I've never known any scientist, any good businessman ask people, please to copy me as fast as you can. Teach each other to copy, understand what you're copying. You know something? Set demonstrations on the corner of the street. Teach public in the corners. Explain to them, if you stand here, I come here every day, 1 day a week, 1 day, 1 hour a day, I teach you here, you can go and make the system for yourself, you've done your job. Go to schools, teach the people in the schools, in colleges, how to make it, how it can be saved. Next week, when I come back from Rome, we deliver the first 30, 40 units to the Italian police force. For what? Because we promised them. He promised them. I didn't do. I just said we give you, and he said he went with the rest of it. You got to remember one principle, and I go back on it till you understand. Keshe Foundation is you. It just carries my name. Block my name out. Become a foundation for humanity and do it for each other. And then you'll find out how fast you can go. This is what has to be done. Otherwise, if we don't do it, and secondly, it cannot not be done. Enough people know. This way we can do it very quick. Do it the other way, it takes you 2 years down the road. But enough people know there's a crazy guy who was taught how to do the system. And then when they want to see there are no news on CNN, you said there are 10,000 people who put their, what they call, testimonial. But teach, go out and teach as fast as you can. Alex is doing it in the villages of Africa, and they call him Mr. Priest. He's become a priest. Because, yeah, read his text to us. Because he's bringing them, he's making his beads and show them how they can have light they couldn't have. He's become a priest. Because priest is somebody who brings salvation to people from their pain. He's actually going village to village, setting up things for people, showing them to make his beads, and voila, he's doing his job. Don't forget, we brought African barber from London to teach an American how to create energy beads, and now the ambassador, the president of his nation, calls him for the same job. They don't care, pardon? 1 o'clock. They don't care. He's a barber. The only thing he cares, he is Nigerian, he has a knowledge, and he can bring light to the people who have no light. And he doesn't need copper wires and the rest. He uses anything is in Africa. When he comes next time, you call him Mr. Priest. He knows who he is. I told you, we make missionary of scientists, not missionary of the religious. And now you see it. Yesterday, this morning, I received texts from Benjamin. He's teaching, and he's teaching. He doesn't have enough time. Benjamin is teaching scientists of Ghana and an African nation, and Alex is teaching the farmers and the village people, covering both ends. Thank you very much for now. It's nearly 1 o'clock. We go for lunch. I'm being shown time is 1 o'clock. When we come back to 2:30, then we release what we call the blueprint. I'm sure you will all be puzzled to see it, but in fact, you already have it. If you trust in what you've done, what you learn, you don't even go to the blueprint. The ones who go to the blueprint to check, it means they don't even trust their own what they've learned. So we put the blueprint this afternoon. It's somewhere, if I remember. I brought it with me. Yes, it's here. I lose money everywhere. It's not worth as much in Planet Zeus. So we release this 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's been seen like last time by the world presidents and the rest. Now, last time took 2 years to public to see. Now we are, what is it, 10 days? 15 days is yours. You've been a good ambassador for the foundation. You can put it on the net. 2:30. You gotta be here. You're going home. Do that first. You go home safe. So Marco will put it on. He's done enough hard work in the background with everything which has happened. And so it's in your safe custody for half an hour and a half. So it's not in our hand anymore, it's in yours. Use it wisely. I give you a very big tip, and I finished today. The tip, if you understand, is understand the work of this blueprint and connect it with the patterns on the USB stick we released 2 years ago. You will find the path to the universe without burning a single fuel, without doing anything. Go back to the patterns which was released to humanity, use the blueprint, you'll find out, you'll get the whole package. Now, if you have downloaded it before, you do it, understand them, connect them, then you'll find out what was missing was a free energy source. Now you have it. Energy source in the universal level, not matter level. And now you see, you read the patterns, totally different way, and you have the key to opening the patterns. Now, up to now you read, it didn't make a lot of sense. Now add this to it, you see the keys opened. This was the key to be able effectively to use the patterns. Thank you very much for today. We'll see you in the afternoon. You better speak to Vince how you can download it. And that's a key from me, a gift to you. You've done enough. You can keep it. I signed it for you. Thank you very much, Vince.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Okay, see you at 2:30. 2:30. Bye-bye.
So it will be 2:30, eh? Is that the idea there? Okay. Is there any other announcement you want to make, Vince, about the any of the sites or things that are going on in the background there about that?
Yeah, we'll have, of course, we do have the blueprint.keshfoundation.org that is live, and that's able to be for your stuff that you've produced. Send a link to the address there, and it'll be put onto the website. Then there'll be the keshfoundation.org/magravs, and that'll be where the manual will be. And then we'll also put up another notice on the homepage for more information.
And just so people know, the email address at blueprint at Kesh Foundation, I believe it was. Blueprint at keshfoundation.org is to send the links for the power units that you might have made or other pictures. Pictures or links to videos. It's not the address to get more information or to get the link for the for the key. So some people are wondering about that, and that's going to increase the traffic on that webmail address. So we don't want to have that happen. It's just for those who want to send links for. That's true, isn't it, Vince? Just for those that want to send the pictures and video links.
Yeah, that's right. It's the ones that have made some devices that want to show what they've made so far. You can send it to that. Send a link to that email address.
Right. Otherwise, people can just watch the website for the correct link to get the actual blueprint key.
That's right. We plan having that mirrored and torrented for the peer-to-peer file sharing, so we can get it out there quicker to people. Thank you.
Yep. Might be a little difficult initially, like it was last time, and goes all over the world, but we'll see. Okay, that sounds good. Let's wrap it up for now. That's the end of the Friday, October 30th morning session for at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute for the Blueprint Teachings Week. And we'll see folks back at 2:30 Central European Time. It's an hour and a half. Is that correct? I think so. Okay. All right. Thank you.